Welcome back to Grow Your Impact, Income, and Influence, the #1 show for entrepreneurs looking to reach millions of people, make millions of dollars, and impact the world. Today, I'm talking with Lori, and she is a digital nomad near and dear to my heart because anyone who knows the show, anyone who follows me knows that I have been living in Airbnbs for 5 years. I love traveling. I love seeing the world. I love entrepreneurship. I love building businesses. Lori works as a business coach, specifically with people looking to be digital nomads. If that's your dream, this is the show you're going to want to listen to. Lori, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. So excited to be here with you.
Awesome. So I had this dream that you were going to show up and be on a sailboat or I don't know, riding a Tesla through outer space. Instead, you're in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Sometimes you do have to go back home and visit the family. So that's what we've been doing.
That's okay. But the really important thing here is that you have freedom, right? The #1 driver for entrepreneurs is they want to be free. They want to be able to go where they want, do what they want, build the business they want.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And that's exactly it. Whether we're in Wisconsin, whether we're in the Caribbean, whether we're, in Fiji, it doesn't matter because as long as I have internet, I can do my job literally from anywhere, including said right now, I'm at my in-laws' house.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, it's okay. That's real life. So talk to me a little bit, like this wasn't always like that. Like 5-6 years ago is when you got started. You left your corporate job, which is the same thing that I did. I was in corporate for 7 years. I was like, there is no way I can keep doing this. You left your corporate job and you were like, we're going to become digital nomads and we're going to build a business all at the same time. I want to know what that looks like because it was you and your husband, which that's a big step.
It is. And he wasn't so easy to convince. I will tell you that he is not as much of a risk taker as I am. But I had known for a long time that I wanted to do more. I had started a business in the past with some friends, but it wasn't really, I was finding it wasn't really what I wanted. And about 6 years ago, we took a month-long vacation, had saved up all of my paid time off, for like a year to take this trip, which is one of the main reasons I chose to leave is lack of vacation time. We spent a month abroad in Fiji and New Zealand and came back to cold, dreary winter and asked myself, like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? For all intents and purposes, we were living what you call the American dream. We had nice house, nice cars, good credit, money and savings. We were doing good. But we weren't happy with the life that we were living. And that's kind of what did it for me is just, I'm spending my time at a job that I don't hate, but I definitely don't love. I don't get to control when and where I travel. I'm building somebody else's dream and putting money in their wallet while I get a measly, if I'm lucky, 4% raise every year in my salary. Yeah, woohoo! You have very little control of how much you make and the pace at which you grow. So decided kind of screw this and was watching a lot of House Hunters International, Caribbean life, travel shows, seeing people, just take these leaps. I'm just like, you know what? Let's do it. And at first we're like, okay, we're going to start this life in a year. And 3 months later, we were in the Virgin Islands. So we didn't wait a year.
So does your husband work in the business with you? Does he have his own business? What's that look like?
Well, it has varied based on where we are, for how long we are. He is not as much of a lover of digital work as I am. He is more of a hands-on artsy kind of guy. He designs furniture. So one of the businesses that we've started in the past was his business. Although he so graciously has kind of taken a break from his business so that we can travel more and be a little bit more remote based. So he just supports me however he can. In our business, and also just make sure that I do things like eat and sleep and, take time off.
That's okay. I mean, I think honestly, we could probably talk about relationships, like entrepreneurs that are in relationships. I feel like in order for it to work, Alex Hormozy, I think, laid it out the best. He was like, either you're the football star and the cheerleader, or you're the running back and the fullback. And like,
Yep.
you go down the field and you have somebody, because I'm the same way. Like, I will work 24 hours a day. I won't eat. I'll drink 18 cups of coffee till I'm shaking. And I'm like, why can't I do anything? Right.
Yep.
You kind of need that person that's like, and if you're both that like type A entrepreneur, I don't know that's really type A, but it just would not be there. So you convinced him, which first off, I mean, I think going to Fiji probably helped. You're like, we could be on the beach right now, but instead we're in Wisconsin. What do you think about that?
And it's 30 below zero.
that probably wasn't the hardest sell. So you get there, you start your business, and spoiler alert, you failed.
Yeah.
A little bit. Talk to us about what that looked like, because this is, I have this conversation with clients or people who are getting started all the time. I'm getting started. Oh my goodness, it's so hard. Like, I always tell people, you would go to college for 5 years and then you would work for 10 years to get anywhere in corporate America. Why do you think entrepreneurship would be any different? But I'd love to hear your story. Like, what happened? So you moved to the Virgin Islands, you sell your cars, you sell your home, you pack everything up, you go to the Virgin Islands. What happens?
Well, we started the first business before we left, which was my event planning company, which I do still have as well, in addition to my business coaching. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be booking all of these weddings. It's just going to like fall in my lap. And, like 2 months in, then we started the furniture business, which again, you just think people are going to start coming to you. And I had been in sales and marketing for many years. So, I know better than to think you build it and they will come. That's not how it works. So, the furniture business took off, I would say, a little bit better at the beginning. But we didn't have that rhythm. We didn't have, the formula that we needed to really go out and make the kind of money that we were making and used to making to support the lifestyle that we wanted. Now, the first 6 months we were there, we survived, but we ate up a bunch of our savings. We ended up with credit card debt and not making what we needed to make in our businesses to make ends meet. And, it was kind of like, okay, do we admit defeat and go back with, our tails between our legs, or do we make this work? And we figured out, okay, how do we make it work? And unfortunately, I ended up back in a 9-to-5. And the thing that so many people, when they come to me, they're just like, well, I never want to go back to the 9-to-5. And I try to tell my clients, like, I know how much you want to escape that, but if you don't do it the right way, trust me from experience, you're going to set yourself up to go back there. And it's not the end of the world. It really isn't, because the thing is I never lost sight of the end goal. So I knew, okay, we need to go back, get some extra money so that we can build these businesses the way we want to. But I made pretty much every mistake under the sun when it came to marketing and sales, even though that was what my background was in, but because it was my own business and it was different than marketing somebody else's business. Oh, go ahead.
Well, let's talk about that really quick, because this is something I think a lot of people, I mean, I'm a direct marketer at heart, right? Like, I was lucky. I did the same thing, made all the mistakes, and then found Dan Kennedy and Gary Halbert. And I was like, oh my goodness. But like, we tend to model like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, like the big marketing companies. Well, they're doing brand awareness. They have gazillion dollars, like literally $1 billion budget. And it's about how many people know our name. When you're getting started in business, that's not what it's about. I consulted for a company in Las Vegas. Their budget, you'll get a kick out of this, was $5,000. They went and bought one billboard on Las Vegas Boulevard for $5,000. And they were like, they were trying to sell an event. Why is nobody buying our event? I was like, is that really a question? Like, so you made mistakes. What changed when you came back? Like, first off, Sometimes you have to go back and get a job.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I always tell people, like, it's better to work your job and work your side hustle until you've built up recover. Like, I tell people you need to be making somewhere between 50 and 80% of your yearly revenue before you leave your job. I don't have those discussions much anymore. It's not my target demo, but when I did, it makes it, because everyone's dream is, I'm going to go live in the Virgin Islands. I'm quitting my job. I'm going to start. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll work 20 hours a day. Well, sometimes that's not how it works. Like, more often than not, it's not.
Right. No.
I want to know, I'm going to pull a few skeletons out of the closet. How did the discussions between you and your husband go? Because I think that could be really stressful. When I did it, I wasn't dating anyone. I wasn't married, but I can't imagine what that would have looked like to go from, I mean, I had a good salary. I was making over 100K a year to rent a room somewhere, cut my costs as much as I can. And like, I'm going to build a business. Yeah. I still went broke. I went through my 401k. I went through all my savings, same thing, ran up a bunch of credit card debt, but friends took me in. I had friends who said, you can stay in our spare bedroom for 6 months. If you don't have it going by then, you should probably go get a job. And I was being headhunted. I had people that were like offering me jobs and I kept turning them down and I made it work. But what was your story like and how was it with your husband?
He's a very, play it safe kind of guy. So it was a challenge, like I said, he had his business. It was going well. I would say that first year, his business was doing a lot better than mine. And again, we were both working on both businesses, but his was doing better. But it was kind of like, okay, well, how do we make this work? How much debt are we in? How much are our monthly bills versus how much we're making? And, I will say that he grounds me, I'm a dreamer. He's a realist. So that's kind of how our conversations usually go. I'm like, well, we could do this, so we can do that. And he's like, but, okay, our credit card payments are, over $1,000 a month, and your business is not even bringing in $1,500 a month right now. Like, what are we doing? Like we can't even buy groceries, let alone pay our rent and do everything else that we want to do. And again, like we were making good money before this all happened. It wasn't easy on the relationship, but I will also say that taking that leap and making that move did solidify our relationship in a way that we had never had when we were about both, working our 9-to-5s. Because we had put ourselves at risk a little bit and taken that adventure on. So we are a good support system for one another. So I consider myself one of the lucky ones. It doesn't mean it was easy and that there wasn't arguments and sacrifices like travel. I mean, we were living in the Virgin Islands, so I couldn't complain too much, and I'm like, okay, I want to go travel. I want to go here. And he's like, no, like we're in debt. You can't go travel right now. What are you talking about? So he has always been very supportive of my entrepreneurial spirit, which I'm very, very grateful for, though. And we just said, when it got to a certain point where it's like, okay, we need to go get jobs. His business was doing better. So I said, you keep doing your business. I'm going to go out and get a job. And then we're going to make this work. When I hired my own first business coach, and the second, and I think there's only been a couple. But when I shelled out thousands on my own business coach, he said, you know what, if that's what you think that we need in order to be successful, then do it. So I do consider myself one of the lucky ones because I know people whose marriages have not survived entrepreneurship because it is hard. It is really hard.
Are you enjoying this episode? Do you want to know how you can tell better stories and use story selling in your business? Check the description down below for my free story selling course. This blueprint gives you everything you need to start using story selling in your business. All right, let's jump back to the episode. Well, I think you touched on a couple of things in there. One, we balance I think every entrepreneur that is in a successful relationship it's a balance, right? It's somebody that's the entrepreneur and somebody's the support. That doesn't mean that he has his own business, right? But it kind of works that you balance each other out. I think the second thing is you're willing to listen to the other person. I think some people it's call it whatever you want. In today's society, you have people who are married, but I'm going to do my thing, you do your thing.
Right.
And then when the entrepreneurship thing happens and you get up against the wall, instead of how can we support each other, like you're when you said grounded, I was like, you're grounded, you're staying in tonight. Right. And there are two ways that anyone can handle that, not you specifically, but you could say, okay, cool, I'm in this relationship, I'm going to listen to them. It's not easy. We might have some arguments, we might be stressed, but at the end of the day, we are together and we're going to support each other. And he obviously probably knows this better than I do. I'm not traveling. Or you could have said, screw that, I'm doing what I want, you don't know me. And I think that people become resentful in relationships because they say the person is stopping me from doing something instead of the person is supporting me to do something.
Absolutely.
And it's all how we look at it. So anyway, let's go to sunshine and roses. So you got some business coaching. Obviously you're a business coach now, so you like that a little bit. What happened? What was the thing that changed that caused the upward trajectory? Was it the business coaching? Was it just time in the marketplace? What happened?
I think it was a handful of things, I'll admit. First one is realizing the importance of relationships in business, because like you said, we model ourselves after these big brands that have millions of dollars and think you can just go out and put up a billboard like McDonald's and then people will come. Well, that's not how it works. It's about the relationships very much. And, after spending time building more relationships, we did see businesses start to rise and becoming, parts of, networking groups and communities and whatnot. That really in itself was, and again, I knew this because I have been in sales and marketing. I was in sales and marketing for 15 years before making this leap. So I know the importance of these things, but applying it to your own business for some reason is different.
Right.
So that was one big thing. And then, getting business coaching, honestly, it was a game changer for me. And again, because it's not that I didn't know these things, but sometimes you just need that accountability. And that's really what the biggest benefit, I think, of a business coach is that you have that cheerleader in your corner always. And you have somebody who's done it, who's made the mistakes, that keeps you from making mistakes and then keeps you on track with actually achieving your goals. And, I've had a couple of coaches. My most recent one, though, she was amazing. And, I do credit her with a lot of my success. And not because she handed it to me, but she helped me to really change the way I looked at things.
I mean, I honestly, paying for business coaching is one of the things I always tell people. They're like, oh, but I'm in a mastermind or I have somebody that I meet with. I'm like, when you pay for something, you treat it differently. I don't care how much it is either. It can be a couple $100, it can be a couple $1,000. I've had business coaches that run the whole gamut. When you pay for something, one, you show up differently, but two, you also enact differently. If you're paying $2,000 a month for a gym membership, you're going to go to the gym every day.
Right.
You're going to work out. You're going to do what your personal trainer tells you. Same thing goes with a business coach. It is one of the fastest ways. And I actually had this conversation with a friend of mine. It wasn't a sales call. And I was like, if you think about it, I was like, you've been trying to do this now for a year. You've said you're going to go get a job. What does it matter if you spend $5,000 on a business coach and you're not successful? In the scheme of things, $5,000 is not going to make or break you, but it will make you successful. And what do you lose if not? I think it's an interesting conversation. So now so you hit the upward trajectory, you got the accountability, you started having some breakthroughs. What do you do now? Because a lot of people are like, you probably get this, you're at your in-laws house. My family is always like, what do you do exactly? You travel around the world and you meet people on Zoom. How does that equate to, $500,000? So I would love to know what you tell your in-laws who you're staying with. What does life look like right now? Because a lot of people don't get the business or the digital nomad thing, and you smush it together and they really get confused.
Yeah. I'll say, and I'm laughing because my mother-in-law actually said to me recently, like, I'm sorry, but I don't really understand what you do. Like, she likes all my stuff on social media, and she sees it, but she doesn't really understand what I do. So that's like, so ironic timing of you to say that. But really when I try to explain it to people, and I think my family is finally starting to get it after a couple of years, that what we do, it's helping people to discover what their dreams truly are, because a lot of times it's just people come to me and they know that they want to start a business, but they don't know exactly what. And then I also work with more established people that have been in their business, but they've just been spinning their wheels and they don't know, how to get started, or they find themselves stuck. I deal with a lot of perfectionists. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are perfectionists and that are just stuck and they need somebody to help move them along. But yeah, I work on my computer, whether it's in an office, whether it's at my in-laws' house, whether it's on the beach, which I actually don't recommend working on the beach. It's not good for your computer, but wherever it is. And yeah, it's usually via Zoom, and I meet with people and we literally review their businesses. I do a lot in the sales and marketing realm with my coaching, but also a lot with mindset and just helping people to overcome that employee mindset to really come into their own as an entrepreneur. And that's the biggest part of, that transformation that we make with people. And this is how I try to explain it to my family, is I help people transform their lives from that employee mindset into becoming a business owner and building a profitable and scalable business model so that they can support themselves with consistent profits, instead of, just a little here, a little there, and actually live the life they want and have the freedom that they want to live and work from anywhere, whether that is as a digital nomad or not. And yes, my parents are almost 70. My in-laws are in their 60s. Yeah, they don't, what the heck is a digital nomad? They have no idea. Even, sometimes people that I coach that, if they're not, Gen Z or millennials, they don't necessarily know that term. But ultimately, the goal of everybody that I work with is they want more freedom. They want more freedom in their life and they want control. So
I think that is at the end of the day, the word freedom is the thing that drives anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, anyone who wants to leave corporate. So I think it's really interesting. And this is more of a conversation, I guess, but with COVID, I've had a lot of conversations with people who knew what I did and they want to not work for a company, but I don't believe that they necessarily want to be an entrepreneur either. Like they're very security minded, right?
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Right. And that's the conversation that I've had. I've said, it's not that you love going to work. You love the security of a paycheck. You just don't like who you work for right now. Do you really? I'm like, because I would love to know one, do you think that most employees could go from being an employee to being a successful entrepreneur and be happy? Because I think a lot of people, I dated a woman during COVID and she hated her job because of COVID. She hated going in, she hated having to wear a mask, she hated working on Zoom. Oh, maybe you can help me start a business. And I said, but she hated how, she was just like, I don't know how you get up every morning and you don't know that you're having a paycheck on Friday. I said, well, I know I have one because I know how to go generate business.
Right.
And, but she just was like, that just stresses me out just thinking about it. I was like, you're probably not cut out to own a business. And that caused some tension. But at the end of the day, I don't think she would have been successful as a entrepreneur. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that whole, do you ever get on a call with somebody and you're like, no, this isn't you should.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do a pre-screening, call before I even do the full like hour call where I try to get someone to work with me, because that's part of it. Like if they're not in it for the right reasons, they're not going to be successful. And as a coach, I want to be successful. And if I'm working with somebody who I know isn't cut out for entrepreneurship, I'm just setting myself up to fail as well as them. I'm not going to just blow smoke because I want money and make them think like, oh yeah, you can do this and it'll be amazing. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to be happy and they're not going to be a good entrepreneur. And I'm going to go back to my husband. I said, yes, with the furniture business, he's great at the design and the building and all of this, the art stuff. That if I wasn't there doing, the marketing and the sales and that kind of stuff, he probably would hate it too. He likes the freedom, but he doesn't like the other things that come along with it.
Well, he's a doer, right? Like there are people who greatly enjoy the doing of the thing. Like I've seen a lot of people fall into that. I've seen copywriters, I've seen graphic designers, I've seen a lot of website designers, right? They want to own a business, but they hate everything that has anything to do with not building a website. Oh, I have to market. I hate that. I have to do billing. Oh, I hate that. I have to do taxes. I hate that. I hate bookkeeping. I hate having conversations with people. I just want to build websites. Cool. Go work for a business. You can go work for a business and make 6 figures doing that. You are going to be way happier because I like doing all the different things like that. There are things. Do I like doing taxes? No. Do I like the novelty of like, oh shit, I got 50 things on my to-do list. Let's prioritize and figure it out. And this goes over here and I'm going to delegate this to this person. Like that gets me excited. Whereas most people, I think, are like, screw that. I just want.
Yeah, exactly. Most people are like, no, I don't. And it's so true. Some people are just better off, and that's okay. It's okay to not be someone who's meant to be an entrepreneur. It's okay to, like your job and to be okay with that. Or like you said with, the girl you were dating, or maybe it's just that you don't enjoy the job that you have, but you're not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Because like with me, I constantly, it's not, and it's an ongoing list. I have a brain dump list I call, every week of things that I need to do. And I pick and choose each day kind of what goes on that, because the to-do list is never ending. I like to call it the to-do list, because it's just, to-do is no fun.
If you're looking at YouTube, this is my to-do list for today.
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
5 things off of there are going to get done. I have to prioritize it. And then every day it kind of shifts. And like, I have a love-hate relationship with it. I'm like, but then you do it and you're like, okay, this is fun. Life's never boring. So the question that I have for you is, what, in your opinion, is the number one trait that makes entrepreneurs either successful or not successful? Like, what is the thing? I've asked this of a lot of people, but I think you've coached a lot of people. So you see what gets people successful, and then we're going to flip the question. I'm going to ask you, what's the biggest thing that holds them back? But what's the biggest trait that you see that day in, day out, if this person has it, they will be successful?
A positive attitude, honestly, because if they believe that they can do something, no matter how hard it gets, they're still willing to try and do it. They can. And it's about mindset, because the thing is, if you tell yourself, you know what, this is hard, but I can do it, you can. And that's what's going to happen. But if you tell yourself, I can't do this, you're right. No matter what you say, you're right. It's not, it's all about your mindset and what you believe you're capable of. And the people that believe that they are capable of more absolutely are. And they're the ones that are going to succeed.
One of the first interviews I watched, well, maybe it wasn't the first. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. It was with the founder of Mastro's Steakhouse. Now he owns like a whole bunch of stuff. He's worth like $3.5 billion with a B. Oh. And in the interview, like, you see him first off and you're like, that guy doesn't own businesses. Like, he just doesn't seem like that fits him. But the second thing was, he was like, it's really about how many times you can get not care and you just keep moving forward. Like, you just get punched and you get punched. And he's like, you just have to not care about it because you have your eye on the goal. And he was like, you can take way more than you think that you can. It all has to do with mindset. The other one is the saying that you said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yep, exactly.
So let me flip it around then and say, when you coach somebody, what is the number one thing? I don't think you can say mindset here, because if you coach them, they already have a positive mindset. So what's the number one like tactic, tip, switch, thing that you flip for them that really helps them get results?
I think it's really comes down to sorting through the clutter and being able to prioritize and understanding that you can't do everything all at once. And those people there's some people that just, they see that giant list that you just showed me of your to-dos and they just get overwhelmed and they shut down. It's not that they don't believe they can do it, but they get so overwhelmed by their anxiety around it. And they're not able to work through it. And I know you said I can't say mindset, but it does really come back to mindset, because that negative mindset does creep in. It's one of the questions I ask people before I even take them on as a client is, are you willing to remain positive? And of course they say yes, because if they didn't, I wouldn't work with them. But then you get in there and it's just like, oh, I can't. When those that use the phrase "I can't" in their vocabulary, those are the people that they just don't believe. And for the most part, I'm good at deterring people from using that, and those that are willing to work with me and not push against me. There's some people, time management is huge, and I can't control their time because I can't be with them every second. But those who prioritize their time and make sure that they're getting the things they need to be getting done, those are the ones that are moving forward and that can realize they don't have to do everything. I call it the MVP, the minimum viable product. The people that really can grasp that concept when we work through it, those people succeed. Those that are just like, but no, I need to have a website. I need to be on all of the social media platforms. I need this, I need that. No, you don't. And if you can't understand that, you are going to set yourself up to fail. And every time, those are the people who don't succeed.
I mean, you can't see it, but I have a sign above my desk that says, what can I get rid of? What can I remove? Anyone that's listening to this and is like, but I have to be everywhere, I'll just share. I mean, you might, if you're listening, you might have heard this before. Last year, we spent over 30K on Facebook ads. This year, I left Facebook. I do 0 social media and my business has more than doubled. You don't need to be on social media. I'm not saying that may not be the lever for you if you're listening, but to Lori's point, it is about picking what is important and sticking with that. And my to-do list every day, the question that I ask is this something that I said I was going to do? If it's a client call that I have to show up for or a commitment that I made, then that has to get done. If it's not a commitment, then does this drive revenue?
Absolutely.
Because that, at the end of the day, does a website drive revenue? You might be listening to this. I would love your thoughts on this, because I know you have a framework. My framework is, does it drive revenue? And people say, well, but a website would drive revenue. Does it drive direct revenue today? That's the first question that I ask. If it's tape stuff on the walls or make some printouts or organize stuff or do laundry, does laundry drive revenue? No. I can go hire somebody to do that, or I can do that when I sleep, or I can wear dirty clothes tomorrow. I'm on Zoom. I don't do that. I'm very time, I'm very time organized. People who know me know that. But at the end of the day, that to-do list, that's how I prioritize. How do you help people do that? Because I bet you have a method that is better than mine. I'm going to do laundry or not do laundry.
Well, you're right. I mean, is it driving revenue? And at the beginning, most of these people are starting out on their own. They're doing everything themselves. They don't have assistants. They don't have social media managers. They don't have web designers. They're doing everything themselves. So it really is about priority. And even, in the way that I set up my programs, it's building the base, knowing what your priorities are in your life and in your business, and setting your business up accordingly. It's also not being in all of the places and realizing, like you said, that not everything is needed. I am a believer in social media for business, especially when they're starting out. but not Facebook ads. I think you can do it organically without ads. And I think that there's a time and a place for ads when you get scale to that level. If you're at a point where you're spending $30,000 on ads, you've scaled, and you've probably scaled your business to the point where you don't need social media anymore because you have enough business coming from other outlets. But they don't need to be on all the platforms. You need to pick one, prioritize one. Where are your people? Where are the people that your ideal clients? And that is the platform that you need to be on. Once you have a team and you have more people and more, resources, then you can expand to more if you want. But what's the point of being on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and everything if your people are only on Facebook or they spend 90% of their time on Facebook? What's the purpose of doing all those other things? It's just busy work. So I help people to really have those realizations in terms of their clients. Also, we work through figuring out where their clients are so that they're prioritizing that and setting goals that are actionable so that they can actually reach them and set tasks that go along with those goals so that they can reach them and not just continue pushing them out further and further.
Yeah, having a timeline to accomplish a goal. And I think helping people not be overwhelmed. Let's break it down. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Let's just do this. I don't disagree with your thoughts on social media. That's what I used to tell people. And it's still what I tell people. I'm like, pick where people are. If they're on Instagram, be on Instagram. If they're on Facebook, be on Facebook. The one that's non-negotiable for me is email.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to email. And people are like, email's dead. I have almost a 30% open rate on a more than 10K list. People read it, and I send email almost every day. But it's about quality. It's about being who you are. And you should be doing something. You have to do something to bring in business. I just speak. I tend to do a lot of group presentations and a lot of stuff like that. But that's where I feel good. The reason that I think trying to be everywhere is a failure, and I'm sure you've seen this, is if it stresses you out and you hate doing it and you're like pulling your hair out because you're trying to be everywhere and do everything. Like that's how you cross things off the list. Like, does this stress me out? And do I hate doing it? And how much revenue are you really getting from posting on Pinterest? Well, then don't do it. I've heard the argument. We could probably talk all night about this, but I've heard the argument from people like, well, but it's just multi-purposing stuff from other platforms. Yeah, but do you like doing it? Is it taking time off of it? Like when you could be actually calling somebody? I think this is the thing that I used to highlight when I did business coach. Like, are you doing that because it's easier than picking up the phone and calling somebody? Like, why don't you pick up the phone and have a conversation, like a sales conversation? Oh, no. I'm going to post on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and like, just call them. Like, you've got a whole list of leads of people that said they might like something you have. Oh, but I can't talk to them. Anyway, I'm sure you have those. So tell us a little bit. You have a freebie. Tell us about your freebie.
I do. It is the 90 days to cash flow blueprint checklist that will just give you the framework that you need, as well as, just take you through the steps of what it takes to build a successful business from step one all the way, through. And to be able to get you to a point where it's 90 days to cash flow is the name, so that you are actually at a point where you can see cash flow coming into your business within 90 days. And I set up, this is the framework that I teach in my program, both my one-on-ones, my group programs. And it's the framework that I give to people for free, because it is what you need to build a successful business, starting with building the base of your business and really understanding, like I said, the why behind why you're doing it. Does
it include building a website?
It does eventually, but like you said, a website, it's about revenue drivers, and I'm a remote-based entrepreneur. I'm not location specific. So a website for me is secondary. My own website needs some work right now, but that's not where the majority of my business is coming from. So it's not a priority. My email list, on the other hand, is a priority, because that's where you can drive people. That's where you nurture your leads. Now, if you are a brick and mortar business, I will say a website is more important. But in terms of online business owners, That is not number one. You don't need a business card. You don't need a logo. You don't need a website. That's not going to get you anywhere. You need to know why you're there. You need to know who you serve, who, the solution you provide, who wants it. And how do you reach those people and actually talk to them and build relationships with them? Because that's what's going to drive your revenue.
That is exactly right. I can't say it any better. I don't think you need a website at all. I have one, but just like yours, it could use some help. All of my income comes through my email list, getting on a call with me, or if I have a sales page, it still goes through the email. They've been warmed up. They've come to an event, and that's all you need. And you can do all of that for free. Like Awesome. Lori, it has been great having you on. This has been a pretty wide ranging conversation. Thanks for being a great sport.
Thank you.
So your 90 days to cash flow is linked in the show notes. If people want to find you online, where should they go?
They can find me on Instagram. My handle is Xennial Traveler, and that starts with an X. That's the name of my company. XENNIAL Traveler, 1L, US spelling, not European.
That is also linked in the show notes down below. Check out Lori wherever she's at. Thank you so much for being an amazing guest and playing along with me. It was super fun having you on.
Thank you so much. Enjoyed it.
No problem. My pleasure. To everybody else out there, until next time, take action, change lives, and make money. We'll see you soon.